What's up everyone, Darcblade here with an information video regarding Mass Effect Legendary Edition. The remaster of the Mass Effect trilogy is soon going to be with us, and we got more information about the upcoming title. Through a trailer and interviews with a developer, they gave us more information regarding the upcoming title, as well as what they've changed, what they've adjusted, and potentially what they've left out. And unfortunately, in this video we're going to talk about the Mass Effect multiplayer, more importantly the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was a side gig introduced with the third installment of the game. This had teams of up to 4 players fighting off waves of enemies from the various factions in the Mass Effect universe. And although at first it was kind of received as a sort of tacked on multiplayer mode, it was actually quite fun, quite enjoyable, and could be quite in depth, to the point where it developed its own little community, and it's still being played to this day. For me, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer holds a special place because it's a game that I covered in depth on the channel, making builds for the various multiplayer classes and more. So for me personally, I was keen to see if they were going to bring back the multiplayer mode with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I was hoping that this would be the case, but unfortunately, it won't be coming back. In the interview with Game Informer, project director Mac Waters said that it's just a lot of work, and I think people underestimate what it's like to do this game, because at every step you are given an agonizing choice of, is this the thing that we want to spend our time on and try to improve it, and where will this leave us down the road? Walters then went on to reassure fans, stating that I feel strongly that we've chosen the things that are what the majority of our fans were most passionate about. He then also went on to talk about the difficulties and the logistics of online multiplayer, stating, do we support it post-launch? What about people who are still playing the multiplayer today? Do we try to find a way to somehow do cross-play between the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4? Walters then went on to explain that the multiplayer would mean a cascade of additional considerations that developers would have to be taken into account, such as post-launch support, tuning, ongoing support for the online mode, changes to how the economy and the loot boxes worked in the game, and this could also mean problems for the people who are still playing the original Mass Effect 3 multiplayer game on PC and consoles. Ultimately, this means that BioWare have decided that the time required to implement the multiplayer was too great, and it would come at too high a cost, and ultimately interfered with the single player experience of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So there we have it, that is the news regarding the lack of Mass Effect multiplayer in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's sad in some respects that it isn't coming back. For me personally, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was a highlight of the Mass Effect trilogy for me. Yes, I am a fan of the story in that. I'm a fan of the whole franchise, to be fair, although some aspects of it are definitely a higher quality than others, but the multiplayer for me was an enjoyable way to be a part of the Mass Effect universe without having to fully get invested in the story, so to speak. It was more of an arcadey way to be a part of the universe, which I really enjoyed. I mean, yes, I do understand why they are not implementing the Mass Effect multiplayer into the game. There is a lot of difficulties, whether it's the loot box system, the currency system, the fact that some players are still playing on the older systems. But for me, I was personally hoping that the multiplayer would make a return. I wouldn't even mind starting my account all over again if the multiplayer was to be updated, so it had the graphical prowess, frame rates, and the updates that Mass Effect Legendary Edition is going to bring with it. We also have better online services now, which would add to the quality of that multiplayer, so I believe it's a missed opportunity. Now, the Mass Effect multiplayer community is quite small now compared to what it used to be, but this was an opportunity to reignite that community, bring a spark back to people who enjoyed the multiplayer and more. Now, yes, I do admit that you can still play Mass Effect 3's multiplayer on PC or on Xbox One using backwards compatibility, but for those of us like myself who played it on PlayStation 3, it's not really that playable anymore. There are still bugs in the game that can actually ruin matches, so it would have been so nice to see an updated version. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Also, for consideration, Mass Effect 3 was released back in 2012, and the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer could be brought to a whole new audience who didn't experience it when the game first released. I don't know if things are going to change further on down the line, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I wouldn't mind restarting my whole Mass Effect multiplayer account again, unlocking all the weapons as well as characters, just for an opportunity to play the multiplayer in an updated format. But that's not going to be the case. I guess in some respects we can still play Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer, but it's not the same. Using characters and races from the original trilogy, as well as fighting the factions such as the Reapers, Geth, collectors and more. It was just great arcadey fun that you could easily pick up and play. But what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. Also, I'll be leaving a link down in the description below as well to the interview if you want to check it out for yourself. There is more information about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition in this interview, so check it out if you want to. Also, leading up to the game's launch, I'll be sure to bring you more news regarding the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, especially if there is any multiplayer news. So until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you an information video regarding the lack of multiplayer in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.